If I could invite Carl to come to the stage. So maybe what I should have said is that these awards were really around the circular economy and demonstrating the business case and that approach for implementation. So Carl Zide, who's from LoopRocks, is now going to tell us why you and your business were worthy winners. So over to you, Carl.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being invited. It's a real pleasure. It's so many great people, especially in the audience, but of course also among the speakers here today. So LoopRocks, for you who don't know it, it's a marketplace for stones, rocks, and the soil and other aggregates. So instead of throwing things away, we can reuse them. We can trade with each other. We can shift the surplus in one location, one construction site, to a deficit in another one. So supply and demand get matched locally within this app, this software that we have built. But it's also a way for you to find materials that you wouldn't otherwise have found. For example, if you don't find reused material, you can find recycled materials from Sphere Rock and other suppliers, or you can find new materials from quarries and pits. So that is what LoopRocks is in itself. It's very easy, but it boils down to basically making savings. And yes, it saves the environment, but when I speak to site managers and I speak to construction companies, many small companies, maybe 20, 50 people are the most common ones using LoopRocks, it's about money, greed. It's about saving for themselves. So that is what we are appealing to. And we actually have on our website also a sort of short description. You can see how much money can you save, and also how much carbon emissions can you save. So this is a rough estimate if you reuse instead of buying new, instead of shipping the material to the landfill, which is the most common way for especially smaller companies to get rid of the material. So grid works. And this is how the app looks like. And it doesn't really look like many big corporate apps. We are owned by NCC. It's a corporate startup, LoopRocks. But we have built this with inspiration from dating and gambling and the other digital tools more than from our ERP systems. So you can find on the map what's happening in your area. You can find a matching list with the pricing and distance to the reused, recycled, and new material. And you can also have full contact details to every person on the network. We have today 12,000 users. We're growing by about 10% per month. So we're expanding by 300 people every week. And it has a lot of similarities with this one, like Tinder. That's what we call it. It's a dating site for stones. It's not only about the app, it's also about the people who is building this. So Igor, who's the CTO, he comes from Schibsted, the one who's building the marketplaces for consumers around the world. We have Anna from Scania, who's built the telematics solution. And I'm from dating before. I haven't worked with construction, so I'm very ignorant, the word used before. But I know dating, and I know e-commerce. And that is my contribution to LoopRocks. And also I think that that's great for NCC and other ones to invite and see how can we use other experiences from other industries when we build a new app, which is of course different. You don't pick your wife the same way you buy gravel, but there are similarities. You need liquidity, you need easy access, and the improvement done in dating and in e-commerce, buying your car, is tremendous. You do it in a completely new way than you did like just 10 years ago. It's transformed. It's easier to get a date today than it was before. It's easier to buy a car, and today it's easier to buy your gravel. And the background behind this, that when NCC and many other construction companies, Peab and Skanska, think about this, it's about productivity. Why are we the least productive sector within all other industries in Sweden and in Europe? Why are we the least digital sector within all other industries? Yes, it's come down to what mentioned before, traditions, but also probably about we haven't done our best. It hasn't been in our interest to do the best, maybe. And this is shifting now. We have a lot of good examples from different areas where we're trying to step up and digitalize and make it more transparent, make it work better, and to give larger value back to the community. And I think that environment, productivity, and also finance goes hand in hand here. The more money we can make, the less impact we have on the environment as well. And there are many solutions. We have heard from the Netherlands before how you can, with incentives, green procurement. We have heard from the Swedish traffic authorities with their programs. That's one way to do it. We have heard from Skanska before how you can mass optimize within an area and don't send any shipments to the waste, to the dump. In Finland, they have a larger central regional planning. Mikko, who is in charge of the mass handling there, who is basically centralized all the handling of materials there. So we can learn a lot of things from other countries, and I think that's great for this conference to have people from abroad. And of course, Loop Rocks is here. We can also use a marketplace to find new materials and make it more efficient. So that is my pitch about try to use the best examples, try to be influenced from other countries. And we, of course, not stopping here. This is sort of an ad for our new product coming up in this summer. We're starting out in Stockholm, and this is the transportation app. So if gravel and stones needs to be dated, we also think there is a market for transportation dating. So finding the right transport for your gravel, trying to fill up the trucks so they don't go half empty. Usually today the fill rate, the usability rate of trucks is 43% average. So 57% of the case the trucks are empty on the roads, what we heard about anyway. And this is a way for those hauling companies to fill up the trucks, to make more money, but also for the buyer, of course, to make a good deal. Thank you.